Today we will discuss 3 remarkable biblical predictions that came true. These predictions tell the story of our world and show God's incredible power. So let's dive in. Our first prediction comes from Genesis, chapter 12, verse 3. This is what it says. I will bless those who bless you and curse him who curses you. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Notice it says that all the families of the earth shall be blessed in Abraham's seed. Now most people read this and think, well, that's pretty vague. All the families of the earth could mean anything. Well, let's see if there is any truth to this statement. Let's take a look at an old book called the Jewish Encyclopedia. And I want you to notice something very interesting. It says this about Abraham. Abraham is regarded as the father of the Jewish people, and from him are descended the children of Israel, Judah or Judea, and through Judah, the nation of Israel proper. But Abraham is also regarded as the ancestor of all the families of the earth. Through Isaac, his firstborn son, he is the progenitor of the Arabs, and through Ishmael, his second son, he is the forefather of all the nations of Africa, the Middle East and Central Asia. Now, this is an interesting thing to think about, because it means that all these people groups that came from Abraham would have some sort of relationship to each other. They would all be related like a big family. So now let's take a look at a map of the genealogical distribution of mankind. And I want you to pay close attention to the different colored lines that separate different people groups. Notice that the main line starts with Adam and Eve, then goes to Noah, then to Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Then it splits off into many different groups. And do you see the 3 main ones? You have the line that leads to Abraham, Isaac, and Judah. You have the line that leads to Ishmael, and then another line that leads to Egypt, North Africa, and eventually Europe and the Middle East. So when you look at this map, it's clear that all families of the earth can be traced back to one of 3 main groups. And guess who was the ancestor of all these groups? Abraham. So this biblical prediction came true because Abraham is literally the ancestor of all the families of the earth. Okay, our next prediction comes from Isaiah, chapter 19, verses 11 to 12. Here is what it says. In that day, the Lord will set a fire in judgment among the fish in the midst of the great sea. And it shall bring death to half of them, and the fish that are taken with the sword shall be dried up. On that day, 9 parts of the dust of the earth will answer greetings to the voice of the 3rd part, when the trumpet of the Lord will sound. And the surviving fish that are escaped, they will flee into their rock in the midst of the sea from the dread of the Lord on that day. His strong and great and terrible voice will be like the noise of a king's son when he is made ruler on the day of judgment. And the kingdom shall be divided, the land of Judah and the land of Israel. And there will be war between the coast of the Philistines and the sons of Abraham, your offspring, and the coast of the north. Now this passage is talking about a time when there will be a great shaking of the earth. And during this time, the Egyptians will be judged by God. So let's go back again to the Jewish Encyclopedia and read what it says. About the destruction of Egypt, the Bible nowhere states the total annihilation of Egypt. It is true that the Egyptians are spoken of as having been destroyed in various passages, but upon closer examination, it is clear that they were referring to the destruction of certain cities or regions rather than the entire nation. For example, in Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 4 it says, He made the first mention of the tribes of Israel with Reuben, and made the first mention of the tribe of Judah. He sent him as a leader to the boundary of the sea and the border of the sea. In this passage, Moses predicts the future victories of Judah and how they will reach the Mediterranean Sea. So he is not talking about the complete destruction of Egypt, just the fact that Israel will conquer and spread out over the land of Egypt. And this actually happened in 586 BC when Nebuchadnezzar conquered Egypt and took them captive. So this biblical prophecy came true. Okay, let's go to our last prediction. This one comes from Psalm chapter 2, verses 6 to 7. Yet I have set my king on Zion, my holy hill. I will tell of the decree of the Lord. The Lord said to me, You are my son. Today I have begotten you. Ask of me, And I will give you the nations for your inheritance, and the ends of the earth for your possession. In this passage, it talks about a king being placed on Mount Zion. So let's take a quick trip to Jerusalem and check out this claim. Here we are at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is built on top of the ancient walls of Jerusalem. And right behind me is the famous Jewish Quarter. And inside the Jewish Quarter is the Western Wall. So let's take a look at where this wall is in relation to Mount Zion. Here we are at the Western Wall. And do you see Mount Zion right there in the background? So it is clear that the Western Wall and Mount Zion are very close to each other. And if we zoom out, we can see the Temple Mount, which is where the original temple stood, where Jesus taught, where he chased out the money changers, and where both the Jewish temple and the future third temple will stand. So it's obvious that Mount Zion and the Temple Mount are two of the holiest places in Jerusalem. So we know that Mount Zion is a very holy and important place. But what does this passage say about kings being placed on Mount Zion? Well, let's take a look at history and see who was the first king of Israel that sat on Mount Zion. Here we are at the city of David, which was the capital of Israel before Jerusalem. And right here is the famous Gihon Spring. And if we follow the path down, it takes us right to the entrance of the Jewish Quarter, where it says that David camped while he was conquering Jerusalem. And right up here, according to tradition, is where David was anointed king. So Mount Zion has been connected to the kings of Israel since the days of David. So now we've seen that the Bible predicted the rise of kings being seated on Mount Zion also. So I hope you can see that these predictions came true. And I also hope that you can see that there is no other God, but the true and living God. He is the only one who is worthy to be praised, honored, and glorified. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and come back soon for another amazing video.